Here's another problem. Cesar ran 3/4 of a mile in 6 minutes. After he finished, his coach told him that he only needed to run 2/3 of that distance in 6 minutes to qualify. How much of a mile did Cesar need to run in 6 minutes? Here's a picture to represent that problem. The whole rectangle from left to right represents a complete mile. It's divided into 4 sections so that we can show how much of that whole mile Cesar ran in 6 minutes. It's divided into 4 sections and 3 of them are shaded. That's 3/4 of a mile. However, Cesar's coach told him he only needed to run 2/3 of that distance in 6 minutes to qualify. That means that I could look at the shaded part as the whole amount. Cesar only needed to run 2/3 of that. Since the pink part is separated into 3 equal parts already, I just need 2 of those parts to represent 2/3. Each part is a fourth, so it's 1/4 plus 1/4, or 1/2 of the total mile, which means that Cesar only needed to run half of the total mile in order to qualify. So how do these two problems look if we use math to solve them? First, I want to go back to my original problem that used the half cups of liquid. In order to multiply a whole number times a fraction, I'm going to change the whole number to a fraction by writing it over 1. Then I can see, when I multiply, I have a pattern of the numerator times the numerator gives me the numerator in the answer, and the denominator times the denominator gives me the denominator in the answer. So multiplying 3 times 1/2, I would say 3 times 1 is 3 for the numerator, and then the denominator would be 1 times 2, which is 2. I can do the same thing if I had the roles reversed, where the fraction was first and the whole number was second. I will put the whole number over 1 first, and then I would multiply the numerator times the numerator. That gives me 3, and the denominator times the denominator gives me 2. Now we know from the picture that 3/2 is the same as 1/2. That means the answer to both of these can change the improper fraction to the mixed number 1/2. Now let's look at the problem with Cesar running around the track. He only needed to run 2/3 of the 3/4 of a mile that he ran in order to qualify. So if I write that in math, I have 2/3 of 3/4, and the of means multiply. So in math we would write that 2/3 times 3/4. Again, following the pattern from the first example, I would multiply my numerators together. So I have 2 times 3, which is 6, and then I have 3 times 4, which are my denominators, and that multiplied together gives me 12. Now we've already talked about being able to put our fractions in lowest terms. So my next step is to look to see if I can reduce this fraction. I know that 6 is a factor of 6 and 6 is a factor of 12. So I'm going to divide 6 by 6, and I'm going to divide 12 by 6. I'm able to reduce using this method because I'm doing exactly the same thing to the numerator and the denominator. I'm dividing both by 6. That ends up giving me 1 over 2, which is 1/2. And when we look back at our original picture, we saw that he only needed to run 1/4 plus 1/4, or 2/4, which is 1/2 of the whole mile in 6 minutes in order to qualify for the race.